Hey guys, guess where Miss Smith is teaching math this morning? Yep, sitting in the front seat of my car. Haven't been anywhere, but I am so tired of being in the house, so I thought I was coming outside. But it's cold outside. I don't know where spring went to. So let's do a little review this morning, okay? What does kilo stand for? Metric prefixes. Kilo. If you said 1,000, you were correct. How about hecto? What does hecto stand for, Keith? 100. Good job. What about deca? Grace, what does deca stand for? That's right. Deca stands for 10. Those were all whole numbers. Now remember, when the prefix has an I on the end, we're dealing with fractions, okay? Deci. Deci has an I on the end. What does deci stand for, Aaron? Good job. It stands for 1/10, which also can be written as a decimal, 0.1. 1/10, 1/10. Grace, what does milli stand for? We've got the I on the end, so we know we're talking about a fraction. Milli. 1/1000 or decimal 001. It can be written as a fraction or it can be written as a decimal number. Solomon, what does centi stand for? We know it's what? It's got an I on the end. We know it's going to be a fraction. And remember, I told you this one should be easy. Think about cents. Think about money. How many cents makes a dollar? The fraction would be 1/100, or we can write it as a decimal, 0.01. How many of you got all those right? Give yourself a pat on the back. I also want to talk about multiplying fractions. When we multiply 5 times 6, 5 6 times 3 times 10, our answer is 15/60. You know you cannot turn that test in without losing a point if you don't reduce it. When we say 15 are going to 15 one time and 15 are going to 60 4 times, we get 1/4, and you would have that problem correct. But why are we going to have to reduce those big numbers when we've learned how to do it the simple way? When you can, you need to use cancellation. We still have 5 6 times 3/10 equal 1/4. But look how Miss Smith got it. I said 5 are going to 5 one time. See my 1 at the top? 5 are going to 10 2 times. 3 are going to 3 one time. 3 are going to 6 2 times. Now all I have to do is say 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4. I've got my answer, 1/4, and it's already reduced for me. So why would I work with big numbers and have to worry about reducing? You shouldn't. All right. If I wanted you to do this problem, you have to have like numbers to be able to multiply. And we call this a whole number and this is a fraction. So Luke, what do we have to do to be able to multiply these numbers together? That's right. We have to put a 1 under the 2 because we know 2 over 1 is 2. Any number over 1 will be that number. So now my problem would be 2 over 1 times 3 over 4. Could I multiply that together? Yes, I could. All right. Suppose Miss Smith put this on a test. 2 times 3 and 2/4. Can I multiply those numbers together? No. I can't multiply those together until I make some changes. What would I do to the 2? I would put a 1 under the 2. What would I do with 3 and 2/4? Demetria? That's right. 3 times 4 is 12 plus 2 is 14, and my denominator would be 4. That's correct. But why? I can multiply it then. I could say 2 over 1 times 14 over 4, but it would be easier if I canceled out, and my problem looked like this. Now I've got 2 are going to 2 one time, 2 are going to 4 2 times. I can't do anything with the 1 and the 14. So I'll say 1 times 14 is 14, and 1 times 2 is 2. Julianne, am I going to leave it 14 over 2? Can we leave it with the numerator being larger than the denominator? No, we can't do that. So we would say 14 divided by 2, and our answer would be 7. Good job. Then we talked about decimals. Guys, there is nothing hard about adding and subtracting decimals. All you have to do is to remember to bring that decimal straight down. This works just like a regular subtraction problem. But you have to remember to bring that decimal straight down. Now, if it's money, be sure you remember to put your dollar sign on it. But if it's just decimal numbers, you do it like a regular math problem, and just be sure to bring your decimal straight down in adding and subtracting. Then last week, we talked about solving equations. Most of the time, my classes enjoy solving equations. I hope you do. It's kind of like a big puzzle. I've got y plus 3 equals 6 times 4. The first step is to solve what you know. Looking at that equation, what do we already know? We know what 6 times 4 is, don't we? 6 times 4 is 24. So my second line would be y plus 3 equals 24. My second step would be, if I make a change on the left, I have to make a change on the right. So what do I need to do to get rid of that 3? I'm going to have to subtract 3, right? So I would have y plus 3 minus 3 equals 24 minus 3. And now I've got 5 equals what? 5 equals 21. The third step is after you find out what that y is, you're going to write the original, come back up to your original equation and put it on your paper again. But instead of y, I'm going to put what I found y equal to. Instead of the letter this time, I'm going to use a number and say that number plus 3 equals 6 times 4. And we said that number was 21, so 21 plus 3 is what? 24, and 6 times 4 is 24. So was my equation correct? Yes, it was. Equations are not hard. Just remember, do what you know first. When you make changes, you have to make it to both sides. It doesn't matter which side you have to change, but you have to make that same change on both sides. When you find out what your variable is, what's the variable? The variable is the missing number, and that's because it changes. Depending on the problem, the variable changes. So you figure out what your variable is, and then you take that answer, rewrite the original equation. Some of you are skipping that. Rewrite the original equation, putting in the variable that you just figured out, whatever y was. Instead of y, you put the number up there. Work the equation and see if it works out. If it works out, then you know that problem's right. We now have 3 things that you should never miss on a math test. You should never miss subtraction, because subtraction is very easy to check. Does that mean you'll always get them right? No, but it means that you already know it's wrong before you get it marked wrong on your test, and you can go back and find your mistake. You should always check your division. It's very simple. You just multiply your numbers and add your remainder. If it's not correct, what do? You start by checking your multiplication, because sometimes when we go to check, we multiply wrong. But if you've checked your multiplication and it still does not come out the same as the answer on your division, then go back and rework your division problem. Most of the time, if you take time to do that, you will get your division correct. And now you know how to check your equations. Solving for the variable is the fun part. But after you find out what the variable is, you need to put it back into the equation. Work the equation to be sure the answer is the same on both sides. And you should never miss that on a math test. Have a great day, guys.